So we now have episode 5 of The Walking Dead season 11. This episode is called Out of the Ashes, and this can be a full spoiler review for this episode and for the other 4 episodes we've had in this season. Also, I think it's safe to say this is my favourite episode of the season. So I went into episode 5 with excitement purely because it was The Walking Dead, but I didn't go in expecting it to be one of the best episodes of the season, but I didn't go in expecting it at all to be my favourite episode of the season. I was honestly blown away with this episode. Now, I wouldn't class it as one of the all-time greatest Walking Dead episodes, but I feel like it is going to be one of those episodes when the season finally wraps up. You look back at this episode and go, wow, that episode just done so much. And I feel like if this was season 8 and it was kind of this episode, it wouldn't have been 1. It would have been like 3 episodes. That's how much they put into this episode. There's so many different storylines. And it's hard to pick a favourite one just because they all do such great things. The one that probably I wouldn't call my favourite, but the one that stood out to me the most was the Commonwealth episode. In episode 1 and 2, we got to see bits of the Commonwealth. We got to finish up with the Commonwealth back in 2020 is when we first got our first glimpse of the Commonwealth. Of course, we got to see it in a trailer in April, but then we actually got to see them in the October episode back in 2020. But now, finally, almost in 2022, we have finally gotten to the Commonwealth, and it's honestly, it is really, really good. It literally is like you're just watching any ordinary TV show because the world is just so ordinary there. It's just like our world. There's nothing zombie apocalypse about it, and it really is just so odd to see our characters walking around, whether it's Ezekiel in his big kind of armor or you look at Princess in her big pink jacket, which everyone always knew she was going to stand out in that big pink jacket. It's just so great to watch our characters being able to experience all of this. You see that they all get jobs. Eugene was given a teacher, Ezekiel's a zookeeper, kind of wondering what kind of animals they have, because I doubt they have a proper zoo. Maybe they have a giraffe or a I don't even know, but I can't imagine them having like lions and tigers. I'd be very, very surprised. I doubt we actually will see anything like that. I'd be very surprised if we did go down the road of actually being able to see the zoo, maybe a glimpse in the last episode if they do decide to go with a time skip. But I was kind of surprised to see he actually got the job of a zookeeper. Princess gets a job working in a mall. I'm very excited to see our characters just walking around the mall. It's just so mad to hear our characters being given all of these jobs. But throughout the episode, you kind of just see Ezekiel, Princess kind of go off on their own, and Eugene sticks with Stephanie, or fake Stephanie as I'm kind of assuming she is, and they go to get ice cream. And they're just kind of living around, they're kind of walking around, they're just talking, they're just enjoying life. And you see Eugene is just amazed by what's happening, and then once he gets the ice cream, you can see he's just lost for words at how amazing this stuff will be for them, because it's been 12 years. He probably never thought he'd see ice cream again, and it's just amazing the stuff that the Commonwealth truly does have. And it's great to see our characters being able to experience all this. But you do see them get caught by the Commonwealth guards. You do actually get to meet Lance Hornsby, who from the comic, now the comic's ended in 2019, I think 2019. I don't remember. I do want to reread the Commonwealth storyline because I don't remember Lance Hornsby being a major part of it. But when he showed up in the episode, at the start of the episode, they had that commercial which we actually got to see at the end of the trailer. So that was very exciting to see him. But then once we got to see him with our characters, that was even more exciting. But you do see them break the law. They go in, they use Commonwealth technology, Commonwealth property without going through the proper procedure. You see they were meant to have to wait like 5-6 weeks, but they decided to break it, go up there as you would in the zombie apocalypse. You're thinking, why do we have to wait 5-6 weeks, all this paperwork? We just want to go up there and tell our friends we're okay. So they go up. You do hear them actually talking to Rosita and Judith, but then they get caught, they get arrested, and they're going to be trialed. Judging by the trailer for episode 6, not episode 6, just seeing footage and just photos, I think their punishment is killing walkers. To our group, killing walkers, it's more of a burden than a punishment. For anyone else in the Commonwealth who probably hasn't dealt with them much, they're probably terrified. But our group are like, fuck, fine, okay, we'll go kill some walkers. Just point us in the direction and we'll go do it. I don't think they're very much pushed and very much worried that their punishment is to go out and kill some walkers. The last kind of Commonwealth storyline we do have is Yumiko's, because she was the only one who wasn't given the job. I don't know if that's because she's a lawyer and they're going to to come address her personally, or if it's because she has a family member there. I can't remember exactly what they said, but she does get treated quite surprised when she goes up to says to the person. He goes, "Oh yeah, I'd be happy to help you," and he's very surprised that she came up to him because maybe it could have been so long since someone of her nature has come. But also, we do get to see her get introduced to her brother again. First off, you see her go into the bakery. If you are a fan of the comic books, if you've read this storyline in the comic books, you know why just going into a bakery was just so amazing. Without getting into too much spoilers, the storyline in the comics wasn't Yumiko, it was actually focused on Michonne, so I was kind of surprised that the kind of her reuniting with her family member was in a bakery, so I thought that was really cool that they did end up putting in a bakery. But it's also revealed that her brother, we know he's a surgeon because it was mentioned last week, but he's been lying to the Commonwealth saying that, oh, you know, he wasn't a surgeon, he could have just said he was a baker or whatever. But he was saying, please don't tell them that I was a surgeon, even though I'm pretty sure in episode 2 she did say that my brother is a surgeon. So I'm assuming maybe in episode 6 or 7, whenever we pick up the Commonwealth storyline again, the Commonwealth's going to come say you're a surgeon. He's going to say I'm not. It's just going to be a whole thing, and she's going to be very annoyed because he literally made her promise or whatever he said in the episode to don't tell them that I was a surgeon. Really excited to see what's going to happen moving forward. I just can't imagine that. Imagine going 12 years. I think they even said prior to the apocalypse it had been a while since they'd seen each other. Imagine going through all that, not even knowing your sibling was alive, and then finding them out so many years later. Imagine that. Just imagine. When the storyline was first revealed, we were in season 8 of The Walking Dead, and Morgan hadn't been announced. He was moving over to Fear, and I think almost everyone was thinking, okay, this is going to be a Morgan and Dwayne storyline. That would be quite awesome. I would still love to see Dwayne make a return. I still don't fully think he's dead, so hopefully one day we'll see him make his return. But as of right now, we are focusing on Yumiko. So there's 2 more storylines. Well, there's 3 more storylines. 2 small ones and 1 big one. So get one of the small ones out of the way. It's Maggie and Negan, and they're kind of arguing back and forth. Negan keeps saying, we should just leave. No point just sitting here. They're not going to show up, and she's giving out to him, just kind of the way Maggie has been doing the entirety of season 11 with Negan. And at the end of it, Negan just goes, you know what? I'm heading back. He gets up, picks his bag up, and then they start fighting. But it wasn't like a punch fight. It was just kind of, they were grabbing onto each other, pushing them aside, because you could tell Maggie was trying to hurt Negan. But Negan didn't really want to hurt Maggie. He thought there's no point. She's very emotional at the moment. She's lost a lot of friends. But it was quite a cool scene to see them actually fighting amongst each other. And then also Gabriel shows up with a guy at the end who I can't remember his name, but it's the guy with the metal mask. I think his name is Eli, but I really have no idea. But those 2 show up, so now there's 4 of them there. Gabriel says we're going to wait for the rest of the people to show up. The only person left is of course Daryl. Don't think Daryl's going to show up, so I don't know how long they're going to stay there, because we're going into episode 6 now. They got to make their way to the Meridian sooner rather than later, so I'm very curious to see how long they are actually going to wait before they continue on, because they're going to have to continue on sooner rather than later. Also, one of the other smaller storylines that I actually really liked and almost brought me to tears at one point was the Judith storyline. You see her going through a whole bullying scenario. First off, you see her training all these kids and how to survive. Really liked that. It was great. It reminded me of Rosita training people back in season 6 when she's training them with the machetes. She even trained Eugene at that point. That scene reminded me of that. But then she witnesses a bunch of teenagers kind of messing around with walkers, putting their hands in front of them, pretending they're going to get bit and then pulled away at the last moment. Quick thing, the walker they were messing with was Jeffrey Dean Morgan, aka Negan's son, so that was quite cool. My first thought when I saw it was, whoa, we haven't seen a kid walker in God knows how long. This is great. And then, of course, it was revealed online that was actually Jeffrey Dean Morgan's son. It was revealed ages ago, like last year, that his son was going to be making a Walker cameo in the season, but I didn't think it would be as prominent as he actually was. So it was quite cool. So that's his son's now. I think he's got, I think there's 4 in his family, as in two kids and him and his wife. His youngest kid is the only one who hasn't been on The Walking Dead. I wonder if they're going to fix that wrong before the end of the season, because I kind of want to see the whole Jeffrey Dean Morgan family on The Walking Dead. But Rosita, the kid does kind of be very mean to Judith. Judith puts her sword up against her. The kid backs off. Later on, Judith goes back to her house and she finds out that pretty obviously that the kid broke the handprint on the timber that her and Carl did in Carl's last episode. He says he didn't do it, but obviously we know he done it, and it was just, that wasn't even the saddest part about that. But you just look at that and you just know straight away, like, I see that, I remember them doing it. I remember Rick looking at it in one of the episodes. I think it's episode 1 of season 9, when he comes down the stairs and he just stops and he looks at it because it's Carl's handprint. And it was just very, so I couldn't get over when I saw it actually being broken. But then she's outside sitting on the step and she looks so sad with it. Rosita comes up. They start talking about Rick. They start talking about Carl and everyone they've lost since then. And that was the scene that almost brought me to tears, because Judith is honestly heartbroken. She doesn't know if her mom is ever going to come back. For her, everyone in her family is gone. It's just her and RJ. And then Rosita's letting her know that, no, you've got family all around you. People like Daryl, people like Carol, Maggie, they've been there since the day you were born. So there's so many people out there. Rosita and Eugene have been there. Gabriel and all them have been there since so long. Erin's been there for so long. So there's people that have been with her since she was so young. So she has family all around her. And it was just that whole scene with Rosita telling her about this, Rosita telling her a bit about her mother. Honestly, it was just amazing, very heart-wrenching scene. And it's great to actually see Rosita get some stuff, because people were giving out that she didn't really get a lot to do in season 10, even though the start of season 10 very much focused on her. We didn't even get to see her in the bonus episode, so it's great to see Rosita been giving a lot of story in this episode, but also what we've seen of her in the season. We got to see her a lot in episode 3 and then a small bit in episode 1, but it is great to see a lot of Rosita in this episode. And our final storyline was a storyline I knew we were going to be getting, but I was kind of surprised the story went the way it went. Of course, the episode picked up and we got to see Aaron having a nightmare, and the way the nightmare kind of went out was, I actually thought was brilliant. First off, you get to see a wolf walking towards him. First off, you know straight away it's a nightmare. You can tell by the kind of the look of the kind of the scenery around them. But first off, you see a wolf walking around him. That was fucking awesome. That was 5 seasons ago. The wolves, and it was awesome. And then you get to see a savior, and then you see a whisperer, and then you see a walker, and you see Aaron just panicking as he's holding Gracie. And it was a fantastic scene, really great horror scene. And honestly, I thought it was great to I think the wolf was the coolest one for me, just to see the wolves, because Aaron probably, I doubt to this day, but Aaron kind of blamed himself for the wolves. Of course, it kind of was his fault they found Alexandria in the first place, but he blamed himself for everything that happened with the wolves. So it was great to see a wolf showing up again, showing that he still has that guilt, even though he might not feel as guilty as he did at the time, but you can tell he's still on his, I wouldn't say it's on his mind all the time, but you can tell it's something he's never forgotten about, which was, of course, the wolf was getting into Alexandria. But then you see a wall, one of the walls falling down in Alexandria, and a shit ton of walkers come out. Actually, a really good comedic scene where Jerry just goes toilet, looks out the window, sees a walker, and his whole body turns as he starts peeing on the wall. Then he starts screaming, shouting at everyone to let them know that, oh crap, the walkers are inside. So they go out, they start killing the walkers, they fix the wall, then they realise, we gotta do something here. So they go, okay, let's go to Hilltop, we'll go up there, we'll see what supplies they have. So they get there, and honestly, when they got there, I didn't think it was them, but really because they got to Hilltop so quickly. Again, if this was season 8, we would have seen a whole episode of them getting their journey to there, and I'm so glad they just decided to stop doing that stuff, because it was unnecessary watching our characters making these big, massive, long journeys to get somewhere, when even though the journey could not be a story. Like, I get sometimes, okay, there is a story in the journey, but not every time you commute somewhere you're going to have something dangerous happen to you. So I'm really glad that they kind of skipped over that. But once they get there, they start noticing all these walkers that were actually friends and family of theirs, and they start killing them. And it was a great scene, not only to see them go through that, but also the Hilltop is destroyed. It is absolutely destroyed. We haven't seen it since the war that happened there, and I want to say episode 13 of season 10. So we never really got to see what it looked like. We got to see it in episode 17. Maggie saw it from a distance, but this episode we actually see them go into it, and honestly, Hilltop is destroyed. And they're looking at these walkers, and they're looking at them going, they're kind of hurting. And then we see a whisperer, and in the comic books we got to see, after the Whisperer War, we got to see a family, and there's 2 whisperers who were teaching this family the way of the whisperers, and then the family was like, this is a bit weird, this is odd, and they go, well, they survived this long, we might as well do it. And then this whole scene leads to Beta's death in the comic book. So I didn't know. I kind of was thinking, okay, I doubt the Whisperers are all gone, but I'd be surprised if we see them again, purely because that whole storyline, that even not even storyline, that couple of pages in the comic books was just to kill Beta, because I couldn't leave Beta out there. But Beta's dead, so I thought maybe they might just get rid of that whole thing altogether and just kind of move on from the Whisperers. So I was actually surprised when we did get to see a Whisperer, and it leads to Aaron torturing a Whisperer for answers on what, because these Whisperers go, he starts torturing, they find out there's lots of Whisperers there, the Whisperers run away, Aaron starts torturing him with a Walker going towards him, it ends up a Walker biting him, and this whole scene was so intense, watching Aaron go down a road that you know he doesn't want to go down, you know this guy is not made for this type of road, very similar to what Gabriel's going down at the moment. But you see quickly Carol has a talk to him, and the talk Carol has to him, it was great to see her go. She was acknowledging her past mistakes, and she's saying how she doesn't want to see him go down this road, as of everyone else now wants to see Aaron go down this road. But it was really interesting to see Aaron, of all people, go down this road. Even Jerry, who's always been, since he was introduced, he's always been the jolly, happy guy. But he says something piece of clothing, he goes, this was his wife's. Now, I don't think we've seen his wife. I'm very doubtful his wife is dead. But even he says this was his wife's piece of clothing. For all I know, she has died, but I'd be kind of surprised if she had died. And for all I know, it was mentioned. Honestly, I can't remember. Maybe she's dead, maybe she's not. But he's looking at her and goes, this was her piece of clothing. It could be because she's dead, or because it could have been like, this was our home. They destroyed our home. So you can see they're both so angry at this Whisperer, and they end up chopping off his hand so he can survive. But the main piece of information we get out of this Whisperer is the fact that he reveals that Connie is alive. Well, he reveals that Connie was alive when he last saw her. He reveals that she did make it out of the cave and that she's out there somewhere. So now our group was like, okay, everyone's like, alright, Carol's like, okay, let's get out there, let's go find her. And I can't remember who it was exactly. For the life of me, I can't remember. I think it was maybe Lydia, and she goes, oh no, we can't go out now, we'll have to go back out. So they go out. They make their way back to Alexandria. I'm pretty confident they're going to get back to Alexandria. Carol is going to tell, what's her sister's name? Kelly. And Kelly's going to leave straight away, I imagine, in episode 6. We are going to see the reuniting of Connie and Kelly. I think it's just about time. Episode 9 was when Connie left our group. I think it's about time. Not only it's about time our group knows she's alive, but also it's about time she shows back up again. I'm really excited. I've seen the trailer for episode 6. And it looks like a horror movie. It looks awesome. Connie, because she's deaf, it looks awesome. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen with Connie in this whole situation. I imagine she's going to survive. I imagine Virgil's going to survive, because I don't think Judith's going to be the one to tell them where Michonne's going. I think Virgil's going to be the one to tell them where Michonne's gone. Also, I saw a photo of a Walker that was kind of sitting on top of a wardrobe. I don't even know what that's at. When I first saw it, I thought it was something from the new Exorcist movie. I'm so fucking excited for episode 6. So if you want to hear my thoughts on episode 6, make sure you click the subscribe button so you can come back and hear my full in-depth review on episode 6. And click the subscribe button as well so you can see anything Walking Dead related in the future. Fear the Walking Dead Season 7 is coming soon. The World Beyond Season 2 is coming soon. So if you want to see anything Walking Dead related, click that subscribe button, because you know I'm going to cover everything Walking Dead, because I am in love with this universe. It is up there with the MCU of my favourite universe, like cinematic, TV, whatever. I love the Walking Dead universe. I'm so happy it's still going. So if you want to see anything from me, click the subscribe button. And as always, thanks for watching.